Welcome to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and joining me is my co-host, CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets, Lawrence Luton. Hey there, Lawrence. Seeing a lot of red today.
Hey, Christine, how are you? Yeah, you're seeing some of it, but it's not crazy red.
Not too crazy. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index is trading at just under $46,000. Bitcoin is slightly down about 2% over the past 24 hours. And the CoinDesk Ether price, ETX index, is at 33.67. ETH is also pulling back slightly about 1.7% for the day. And the new DFX, CoinDesk's DeFi index, taking a look at DeFi, trading at 582. DeFi also taking a few steps back at almost 3% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. So basically, Lawrence, whatever gains we saw yesterday are now gone.
Yeah, I mean, we saw like whoever was up is down today. Whoever was down was up today, at least when it comes to the CoinDesk 20. But one thing to note is that now Bitcoin's about bouncing around its 200-day moving average, as reported today by Seb Sinclair on CoinDesk. So that's kind of an important technical level for people who trade on technicals. 200-day moving average is kind of considered the long-term support. So if you see a break below that, who knows where the downside will be from there, at least as far as technicians go. I myself, not a technical analyst or a proponent of technical analysis. I'm more of a fundamentals person. However, that is still, you can't ignore it when it comes to the markets, and it's there. So we got to keep our eyes out over the weekend to see what happens next. Mm-hmm.
Taking a look at the flows. All right. And in other headlines, we saw that crypto-friendly former commodities regulator Brian Quintenz has just left the CFTC after 4 years of service. And now he's joining venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz as a part-time advisor. Quintenz is the latest high-profile addition to the firm, which has backed numerous projects, such as this latest, including raising over $2 billion for its crypto fund 3 earlier this summer. And joining us to discuss is former CFTC Commissioner himself, Brian Quintenz. Welcome to the show, Brian. So first off, explain this move over to A16Z. What do you hope to bring to the table?
Well, thanks, Christine. Lawrence, good morning. It's great to be with you. So when I left the agency, I'd spent a lot of time at the agency, which has a very broad purview and regulates $400 trillion of derivatives in the legacy swaps market and futures market. Despite all of that jurisdiction and the importance of that work, I had spent a lot of time during my commissionership focusing on the importance of crypto and on DeFi innovation. And when I left the agency, I wanted to make sure that I kept crypto and DeFi very relevant to my future career. And to me, this is a phenomenal chance to do that with a firm that has an extraordinary amount of talent and has a strong track record, not from a financial perspective, but from a visionary perspective. When I originally started my own investment firm 4, 5, 6 years ago at this point, I took a long-term time horizon in my investment approach. And I think that is what's necessary to fully realize the transformational power of crypto.
Commissioner Quintenz, first of all, welcome here. And before we get into what's going on next with A16Z, what changes at the CFTC do you see coming up now that you're gone and Commissioner Chris Giancarlo's gone as well, Chairman Giancarlo? What happens now with the Biden administration? Is their approach going to be different with what the agency does, how it regulates not just crypto, but overall the commodities markets?
So I think it's going to depend on the agenda and the personality of the permanently nominated chair. And right now, I don't believe that there has been someone who has been officially nominated. There have been press reports that my former colleague, Russ Benham, a Democrat commissioner with whom I have served and who is, I think, a fantastic commissioner, is likely to get the nomination as the next chair. But then also, given former Chairman Heath Tarbert's departure, given my departure, and just yesterday, Commissioner Dan Berkovitz announced that he would be departing as well, the White House and the Senate will need to reconstitute at least three permanent roles on the commission, 3 open vacancies. And I think that will tell us a lot about the direction of the commission and how likely it is that the commission takes an aggressive enforcement approach or more of a pro-innovation approach.
As you reflect on your time at the CFTC, did you feel that there was a turf war going on between the SEC and the CFTC with respect to regulating the crypto industry?
When I was there, no, I didn't necessarily see that. And I think that that has a lot to do with relationships. I had a very strong relationship with Chairman Clayton. I know former Chairman Chris Giancarlo and then former Chairman Heath Tarbert had very close relationships with former Chairman Clayton. I still have a very close relationship with current Commissioner Hester Peirce. And we worked very constructively together to try to understand the innovation that was occurring in this space, make sure that we understood how each of us was approaching that space, and to make sure that we were coordinating and communicating, on a very, very consistent basis. I'm not sure exactly where that communication, coordination, and relationship stands now. I think, as new personalities come into these roles, it's up to them to, take an approach that they view as appropriate. If that means, coordinating well between the agencies and trying to be pro-innovative, then I think that's a very positive thing. But to the extent that our jurisdictions, do overlap, and there is a lack of clarity on a number of products that are currently being traded out there, and which, if any, regulatory structure they should fit within. I think that's going to be an important relationship that hopefully maintains its positivity going forward.
So, Brian, did the SEC overstep its bounds when dealing with Coinbase? As you know, they reached out to them, and there's a bit of an issue now with Coinbase's lending program. Is that something that should be regulated by the SEC? Should there be, who should be regulating that kind of a service, crypto lending? Do you think it should be the SEC, or should it be the CFTC, or should it be another commission or another agency in the federal government?
So I'm not, first of all, I'm not even a lawyer. I have a markets background, and I think that added a lot to the commission, because the commission has a lot of lawyers, and all of my former colleagues at the commission level were lawyers, and I am certainly not even a securities lawyer. So it's very difficult for me to provide any analysis on that. I do think that the SEC is the agency that has always done that, and but if I take a step back, my feeling, and I watched your interview with my good friend and my former chairman, Chris Giancarlo. If I take a step back, I think we need to ask ourselves, are the laws that are trying to be applied, to this new innovation and to this new space, are those the laws that we would create now, in response to any issues or problems or dynamics that currently exist? I would probably say no. I would probably say that the new innovation that we see, a lot of the transparency around it, the use cases, the value that's been created, I don't necessarily think applying 80-year-old laws to these kinds of dynamics are really the best way that government can promote innovation, wealth creation, and access to financial inclusion.
So along those lines, should the CFTC regulate stablecoins? Do you see a role for the CFTC in the stablecoin markets? Along those lines, the CFTC seems to be more crypto-friendly and more innovation, at least for now, compared to the SEC when it comes to more pro-innovation. Is that something that should be under the CFTC's umbrella, or do you think that because of the nature of some stablecoins that have, let's say, aren't cash backed, and instead you're using assets, do you think that feels more comfortable from your perspective as somebody who's a markets person and who was a commissioner? Should that be better suited for the SEC?
So I think the stablecoin landscape as it just currently exists, has a broad spectrum in terms of, fully transparent, fully regulated already, at some, within some states and jurisdictions, through their crypto laws or even their legacy, trust laws and financial institution laws. And some are not, and some have less transparency. I think, the dynamic gets a little bit harder when you start talking about pooling, those assets into some vehicle and having some level of an investment management approach around those assets. I think that starts to implicate a little bit more of the traditional, financial investment model and brings into focus, one of the bases for, investor protection and investment management regulation, which was, asymmetric information between management teams and potential investors. But if there is a process, and I think that there is a jurisdiction and there is a framework that allows for this, where a stable coin can be issued and its reserves are fully transparent and they are 100% cash based, then I think it takes a lot of those issues and potential problems off the table. I've also never been fully convinced that throwing around the financial stability word is the right way to try to bring in or expand jurisdiction over new products and innovation. I think that the financial stability mandate of the government has traditionally been focused on centralized intermediaries and financial institutions, specifically around banking activities. And so, I'm not necessarily convinced that that anyone's saying at some point there may be a financial stability risk, and therefore we need to apply, stringent regulation on this activity. To me, is really the best, rationale from a good government perspective to looking at innovation that we're seeing right now.
It's interesting you say that, because a lot of crypto companies are confused as to what to do when we see that. In the case of Coinbase, I wonder if you can sympathize. They're a company, they want to do things by the book, by the rules. They're trying to consult with the SEC. They're being threatened with being sued, whereas their competitors are launching lending products. They're trying to innovate, and they're going through a, do now, ask for forgiveness later kind of approach. So what is a crypto company to do in this environment? And in Coinbase case, they're saying they're trying to meet the SEC in person. They're not getting any luck because supposedly they're not talking directly in person with crypto companies. And in that sort of environment, what is an innovator supposed to do?
Well, I'm not obviously, intimately familiar with the dialogue that's been happening between Coinbase and the SEC. I did read Brian Armstrong's tweets, and I think there was an obvious sense of frustration and some sense of unfairness, as well as, I guess I would say, pointing out different approaches that can reasonably look at innovation and growth and value creation and new businesses, around this new economy, that provides clarity, to how businesses are currently operating and how new businesses can innovate and evolve and operate and compete in the future. And again, I think, from what former Chairman Chris Giancarlo said yesterday or the other day, and I was at the agency, when we considered some guidance around crypto products and what constitutes the actual delivery of a virtual asset. And there was a lot of discussion about whether or not that was the appropriate guidance that we should issue. But the fact is that, we put forward guidance to try to provide clarity, before we took an enforcement approach. And I've always felt, and I've given a number of speeches on this, I've always felt that that's the right way to look at innovation. Regulation, setting policy through enforcement, in my view, is wrong. And you look at the value that's been created, the wealth that's been created through this innovation. Just from a token market cap perspective, I think we're around $2 trillion, and that has nothing to say about all of the companies and jobs that are being created to service, that economy. And if we were to apply a certain regulatory regime that may fit, legally, but not, rationally around this space, I think it's arguable that the United States could have precluded all of this development and precluded all of this wealth creation. And if that's the case, we need to ask ourselves, well, what are we giving up? If we're saying, that we want to protect investors on the one hand by applying, these rules stringently, but yet if we were to have done so, we would have precluded investors or owners from achieving such extraordinary levels of wealth generation with inclusivity and open access. I think that cost benefit analysis is pretty far off.
Right. Well, it's a delicate line to balance, and we'll see what happens. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your insights. That was CFTC Commissioner, or former CFTC Commissioner Brian Quintenz, now with A16Z. Coming up, checking in on Asia and the crypto markets update with PowerTrade. Time now for the daily forecast, an update on what's happening in the Asia crypto markets. Here's Angie Lau, Forecast News.
Welcome to the Daily Forecast, September 10th, 2021. I'm Angie Lau, Editor-in-Chief of Forecast News, covering all things blockchain. What is it about India, a nation of 1.3 billion, close to 1.4 billion people, the second most populated country in the world, second only to China, a nation with so much potential, and then there's crypto. Well, it's starting to look like, despite political headwinds, there's some serious tailwind coming from the investment side. We're going to be talking about that and a whole lot more coming up. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world. First up, Cardano confirms its long-awaited Alonzo upgrade, which is set to deploy smart contract functionality, and it's going to go live on Sunday. The upgrade puts the network in a better position to compete with Ethereum, supporting a much wider range of applications. ADA, Cardano's native cryptocurrency, has been on a tear since the date for the upgrade was announced, hitting an all-time high of $3.10 earlier this month. Forecast News' Lachlan Keller has all the details.
ADA has soared in value, becoming the world's third largest blockchain by market cap, as the Alonzo suite of upgrades have rolled out over the past few months. The hard fork promises the introduction of smart contracts, which will allow for decentralized finance applications on networks, something that has largely been running on Ethereum to date. Alonzo also brings full support for NFTs. One expert told Forecast News that so far ADA has been an altcoin, but this upgrade will make it a competitive layer 1. And while he's excited about the potential of the upgrade, investors should always be careful.
At these times, always worth remembering that there is usually more volatility, and there's potential of hard forks and failure. So just be cautious around forks and upgrades.
And there have been glitches along the way. The first decentralized app on the Alonzo testnet, MinSwap, was forced to shut down earlier this week due to concurrency issues. Critics argued the use of unspent transaction outputs, or UTXOs, means it's not up to the task of supporting such dApps. But Cardano developer Input Output HK hit back, saying the extended model it uses offers greater security. It goes to show smooth sailing is never a certainty. For Forecast News, I'm Lachlan Keller.
Meanwhile, India's crypto exchange space is heating up despite lawmakers mulling a full ban on crypto. Regardless, U.S. headquartered CrossTower has become the second international crypto exchange to enter India. The exchange's launch of a trading platform in India is a bold move, given regulation over crypto in the country is still very much a gray area. But Binance already took the plunge, acquiring WazirX in 2019. Forecast News' Monica Ghosh spoke to CrossTower's CEO, KAPIL RATHI.
The capital market-focused exchange sees massive potential for growth in the crypto space in India. With an average age of 29, the country has the youngest population in the world. And as there are 600 million internet users and 190 million unbanked people, CROSSTOWER says there's plenty of appetite. That's certainly true if the latest numbers from CoinSwitch are anything to go by. In a tweet, the exchange confirmed that it now has over 10 million users, making it the largest exchange in the country. Despite the explosion in numbers creating accounts with exchanges in India, CROSSTOWER CEO says the lack of regulation is holding things back, but he's optimistic that will change.
I'm more than 100% optimistic that the Indian government understand the power of technology. So I actually I'm really looking forward to have a framework in India, because right now the uncertainty, unfortunately, is keeping investors on the sideline.
RATHI says CROSSTOWER has been actively involved in developing regulation in the US and thinks collaboration between exchanges is vital to drive progress on the matter in India. For Focus News, I'm Monica Ghosh, Pune, India.
And finally today, what do you get when you mix a gaming platform backed by a Hong Kong-based unicorn with one of Asia's most well-known animated penguins from Korea? You get one heck of an NFT. The Sandbox Animoca brand's blockchain game platform will release NFTs of popular kids animation Pororo, the Little Penguin. This is in partnership with Korea's animation producer Iconics. Now, the NFTs will include the beloved characters of Pororo, which will be on sale from September 23rd. Who says kids have all the fun? And that's the daily forecast from our vantage point right here in Asia. For more, visit forecast.news. I'm Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Until the next time.
The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
Time now for our live look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XVX index currently trading at $45,781. Bitcoin slightly down almost 3% over the past 24 hours. And the CoinDesk Ether price ETX index is at 33.39. ETH also in retreat about 2.5%. And the new DFX CoinDesk's DeFi index taking a step back almost about 3.6%, trading at 577. Joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Mario Gomez Lozada, a co-founder of PowerTrade and founder of Liquid.com in Vietnam. Welcome to the show, Mario. So what opportunities are you seeing in the crypto markets right now?
Well, I think for the time being, we're going to see a flat price, I think maybe for the next few weeks. If it goes down to 42,000 from what it is right now, we might see it go down even further. But if it stays above 42,000, we might see it go up maybe 52,000 from there.
So Mario, where exactly are the flows going? You know, this is something that we've talked about several times on our program. It just seems that money, at least assets, digital assets, are flowing in large quantities from one wallet to another. But it doesn't necessarily, it seems like it's not just about retail, but it's not necessarily institutions pouring new money in. It seems more like things are moving around. What exactly is going on?
I do think there's a lot of leverage happening right now, which is causing all the price swings that we've seen over the past 2 days. But with the flush that we had, I call it flush because of the significant pullback, I believe we see some stability, mainly driven by spot markets.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think that that's going to continue? I mean, are we seeing any indication that that leverage is at least going to be here for a while, or do you think that some of this will get flushed out as the prices continue to fall?
I think we've seen a good pullback. I don't think it's going to fall that much further. Leverage doesn't seem to be coming back as far as I can see, and from what I'm seeing right now. What I do see is there's a lot of spot activity happening right now, which I think is a positive thing for the market, because it's going to make it more stable in the long run.
And are you moving into alts versus Bitcoin, or what's your outlook on other altcoins?
I don't really do alts. The only one that I do is Ethereum that I can tell you about. Ethereum, for a while, it seemed like it was going to do really well, touching 4,000 and so, but then there was a pullback. Right now, what I guess is happening is that people are just in a wait-and-see situation to see what happens next.
Yeah, so now you're not taking. Are you taking an actual position in ETH, or are you, for the time, you're just kind of sitting on the sideline and you're not taking any either cash or derivatives position on it?
I do take long-term positions. I hold for the long term. So short-term, mid-term, it's hard to tell, but I do feel for the long term is going to go up quite a bit. So
is this a time to accumulate?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mario, appreciate you coming on the show. Good holding. Good luck holding. That was PowerTrade co-founder and Liquid.com founder Mario Gomez Lozada. Coming up, Crypto.com CEO Chris Marszalek, and checking in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day. Welcome back. Time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who's also the editor of CoinDesk's The State of Crypto newsletter. Hey there, Nick. What are you watching at the end of the week?
Hey, good morning. I think one of the most interesting signals is actually CFTC Commissioner Dan Berkowitz announcing his departure in the middle of October. He will step down, leaving the CFTC with only two commissioners, Russ Benham, who is the acting chair, and Don Stump. And, for the first time in quite a while, I think it will be, a 2-0 majority for the Democrats on the commodities regulator. There's no quorum requirements, as far as I know, for commissioners, meaning if there are any priorities within, crypto or other subjects under the CFTC's purview, they can probably, take action pretty easily.
So would President Biden have to appoint somebody that would be, so of course it's a 50-50 Senate with Vice President Harris being a tiebreaker, but do you suspect that he will, what kind of a candidate or what kind of a commissioner will he likely appoint? Would it be somebody, just to placate the Republicans on the Senate, or is it going to be somebody who says, well, hey, we got the plus one here, so why not take full advantage of what we can grab?
Well, so legally, the CFTC commissioners have to be, I think there's a maximum limit for a single party of 3 individuals out of 5. So usually what happens is the minority party recommends, to at least 2 of the commissioners' names, and it's, unless they're wholly unqualified, I think they usually get confirmed. So, there's rumors that Biden's looking at Emory University law professor Kristen Johnson, who has tweeted about crypto before, as a possible nominee. And if he does tap her, I imagine that there won't be any huge issues with getting her confirmed. But likewise, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell will be able to nominate 2 individuals as well. And again, I don't think that there'll be any huge issues in getting them confirmed either. And that would bring the CFTC back up to a full complement of 5 commissioners.
So, Nick,
is there any significance of these? Go ahead, Lawrence.
No, I'll let you go.
Is there any significance of these departures, Nick, or is it just a matter of their terms are up?
So Brian Quintenz, who stepped down at the end of August, his term technically expired last April, but under federal rules, he was allowed to stay on through the end of this year. Commissioner Berkowitz, I believe, has his term hasn't even expired yet. So, maybe they just see it as their time to depart. Maybe they see something else. Some of these issues coming, and they would rather look at crypto or whatever their main areas of interest are. For Commissioner Quintenz, we've already seen he's joined Andreessen Horowitz as a advisor to the crypto division, but maybe they see an opportunity now versus if they were to try to step down at the end of the year or as the winter kicks in.
So Nick, we can't bring. You got to bring up the very funny tweet from Bennett Tomlin yesterday, just about how Tether can't reveal its chief investment officer. Kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea, what the legal strategy is, and probably, because we're involved. But yeah, I think we're still in the early stages of all this. Each party is going to file, everything they can, and only once we start getting to the hearings are we going to get a sense of how a judge might actually look at what everyone's trying to do.
Well,
now we have to find out who the CIO is.
Yeah, Stu, Paolo, Giancarlo, I know you guys are watching, so tweet it out at us. Feel free.
All right. Don't hold your breath, Lawrence. Thank you, Nick. That was CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com.
The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
So Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong taking the gloves off and calling out the SEC for really, quote, really sketchy behavior, according to his tweet, for failing to offer regulatory guidance and threatening the crypto exchange with a lawsuit if it goes ahead with its crypto lending product. Joining us now to discuss is Chris Marslick, CEO of digital asset exchange Crypto.com. Welcome to the show, Chris, as always. So Crypto.com also has an earn program where you can receive 14.5% for stablecoins. So when you see the SEC threatening to sue Coinbase, what goes through your mind?
Well, first of all, I could see the frustration. I kind of agree with what Commissioner Quintenz said earlier in the show. I see the frustration in Brian's tweet. So I just think it's perhaps it's not the right forum to have a conversation with a one-sided conversation with regulators to do it through a tweet storm. I think there are better channels to discuss these things.
Yeah, Chris. Brian Armstrong said that the SEC said they wouldn't talk to a crypto company. Have they been willing to talk to you guys? Have you guys talked to the SEC at all?
Not really, although we see that individual state level commissions are now reaching out to multiple companies and requesting for information because they're trying to understand the structures of these type of products that are in the market, and different companies have different ways to do this. So I think there's an element of them trying to educate themselves before they make moves.
And is there some kind of concern if you guys are offering? What are you doing differently than what Coinbase is offering? And if it's similar, what exactly are your concerns here going forward?
Right, we don't have concerns on this product, and our step is different. I will not talk about the specifics on how it is different, but it is different to Coinbase, and we'll have to see how this plays out.
At the same time, you have a UFC shirt on. You're partnering with the French League One football club, the Paris Saint-Germain PSG, to sponsor exclusive PSG-branded NFTs on the Crypto.com NFT platform. What can you tell us about this new foray?
Well, first of all, we are thrilled to partner with Paris Saint-Germain. This is the hottest football club in the world today. They've got this amazing trio in Messi, Mbappe, and of course Neymar. So unquestionably number one contender to win the Champions League. We're just super happy that they're partnering with us. It's a multi-year partnership. We are their first official crypto partner. We're going to be visible prominently during their home game starting tomorrow. We've got a lot of unique experiences that we're designing for our customers in partnership with PSG, and of course the NFT play here is also a big part. So super excited about this partnership.
So, Chris, how does this partnership exactly work? Now, you guys you're paying with tokens, correct? Is there any cash? Are you guys actually paying for the advertisements and the sponsorships and things like that using fiat, or is it entirely using your in-house token?
Yeah, so we majority of the deal structures settled in fiat. There is a portion of it that is settled in CRO, in our cryptocurrency token. And again, it's a multi-year partnership. There's just so many opportunities. This is a very forward-thinking team, and it ties into our global branding strategy. We're partnering with this type of brands and aligning ourselves to have visibility in front of 2-3 billion people.
Yeah, Chris.
Are there any regulatory concerns that something like an NFT could be a security?
I think as with you've got different new products coming out from the cryptocurrency space, and over time, there may be some regulatory impacts. I think it's too early to tell what the regulators think about NFTs. In fact, they're still dealing with things like securities and lending products. So I would expect NFT scrutiny to come, probably 1-2 years later.
Chris, it's almost hockey season. You guys, of course, sponsored the Canadiens. Does that continue this season?
It's a conversation that we're having right now, and of course, we were very happy with the Canadiens' performance in the Stanley Cup, and we were looking to continue supporting them, but it's yet to be decided.
You're not going to go to the Maple Leafs, right?
Yeah, you should probably consider sponsoring the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No, it's okay. It's fine. No, Canadiens are perfectly fine.
Guys, I remember we had this conversation before. I know it's a controversial issue, but it is what it is. We've made our bets.
Oh,
well, I'd be happy to stay in an owner's box with the Canadiens anytime. Next time I'm in Montreal, feel free to send me those tickets.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris.
Christine, apologies.
Thank you. Oh, dear. All right. That was Crypto.com CEO Chris Marszalek. Thank you for joining us. All right. That's it for First Mover. Coming up next week, CoinDesk will be at the SALT conference with Anthony Scaramucci right at 9 a.m. We've got Sam Bankman-Fried, CEO FTX, and more. Join us for that live event all day long. Thank you, Lawrence Luton, Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets. I'm your host, Christine Lee. I'll be back live at 3 p.m. with All About Bitcoin. Coming up at noon is The Hash. You're watching CoinDesk TV. Go Maple Leafs!